A week later, build up more courage. Would you like to go swimming with me? No. Okay, fair enough. But can you not tell any other club that I've asked you out? A third time, he didn't go back. This time, heinously, he went to Steve Goldie's daughter. Oh. Would you like to go for dinner with me? No. Okay, but can you not tell anyone at the club I asked you out? So, now on to our other Australian. You probably know who this is. Just sort this shit microphone out. My flatmate, run machine this year, Andrew Lowe. Now, Lowe was not only a great flatmate, he was a great addition to the club, both on and off the pitch, I'm sure we'll all admit. But in a strange twist of fate, his stats on the pitch mirrored his stats off the pitch. He got a lot of runs this year, but I'm sure we all agree, not as many as he probably should have done. I put this down to the fact that once he got himself in, he never went big. Apart from maybe that barmaid in Chicken Camden. Obviously, due to the weight of runs he scored this year, and with him being a wicket-keeper, there have been comparisons between him and Adam Gilchrist. Personally, I think the only thing they've got in common is their sizable ears. In fact, I think if you put Lowe's head on Wolfie's body, you'd have a human space hopper. There you go. So, as you know, Lowe is now safely back in Sydney, where he had a great start to his season at his new club. He got a first baller. But to move on to a more sincere note, he contacted me this week, sent me an email, and asked me to read out this personal message from him tonight. To everyone at Richmond Cricket Club, I wanted to write to you all to thank you for the most amazing time of my life. I've made some truly lifelong friends and have grown as a cricketer and as a person. It is this personal growth and subsequent realisation that leads me to the primary reason for writing this mail. Sorry about saying this, but it's with a heavy heart that I inform you that I will not be returning to Richmond next year. Over the last few weeks in the UK, after enjoying some great nights out in Vauxhall, I've realised that I'm a raging homosexual. And I've signed up for a lead in the touring version of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. If you're ever in Sydney, please look me up. You will probably find me hanging around Oxford Street with my new best friend, Leroy. All the best, Andrew. So get rid of that. Obviously that letter is a white lie, although we will be back here next year. As I was writing this letter, it started me to think about sort of writing little white lies and how they can grow and take a life of their own. Often you say these lies to protect other people, you do them for the right reasons. Sometimes they get bigger and they grow and they become very difficult. The most guilty of all lies is what I call the family lie. No matter how noble the cause, it still racks you with guilt. And I'll give you an example of this. It happened to me a couple of years ago. I got in an altercation with a couple of hoodlums outside a local nightclub in Putney. That altercation led to me getting septicemia and nearly losing my thumb. That's actually a genuine photo. On the night in question, after leaving, Tice Square, I believe, following a successful result from the first week of the season, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I was cornered by 3 blokes. Realising there was no way out, I defended myself by retaliating first. Bang! Now, obviously, I told everybody that I coped admirably with me against 3 blokes. That was the first lie. The lie to your mates, a bit of embellishment. There's no real guilt, doesn't do any harm. Obviously, I actually took a bit of a pasting. Also, a word of advice. If you do get home at 3 a.m. in the morning and climb into bed with your girlfriend, you are not going to get a shag looking like this. next lie. I'm my soul up here, aren't I? The next lie. Lie number 2. The work lie. There's no real guilt here. It's a means to an end. It can take on the form of flu when you've got a hangover, oversleeping, actually know there were train delays. In my case, I was playing rugby at that weekend. That covered up for my bruises when I turned up at work on Monday. Now, come to lie number 3, the family lie. This lie completes your social circle, and you've got to make sure they never overlap. Now, I avoided it all week. My family lives 300 miles away, so I thought, there's no need to tell them, they're never going to find out. So I didn't. The problem was a cut in my thumb from a bite, got worse, and I developed septicemia. I felt quite ill. So after falling ill at work the following Friday, I was rushed into Whitechapel Hospital. Now, I naively assumed I was just going to get some antibiotics and away I go. No, I was rushed into a ward and found out I was in theatre for the next couple of hours. I could tell by the reaction of the doctors it was actually quite serious. So I sat there in bed thinking, I'm about to go under general anaesthetic. I've got to tell my parents this, but it's fine, they're 300 miles away, be over the phone. I'll just tell them it's some cricketing injury, I'm having minor surgery, everything will be fine, job's a good one. So 4 hours later I wake up, peering down at me after a mad dash down the M1 are my mum and dad. Shit. Now you try making up a backstory after a load of anaesthetic and a shitload of morphine. It's not easy. And trust me, remembering what you said the next day is even harder. So, here I go with the story. Turns out, I was a brave little soldier fielding in at short leg. The ball got smashed at me, hit my thumb, cut me. I then later got some pesticide in my thumb, which is what turned it septic. What a great story. Anyway, I managed to get away with it, but I have to say the guilt was eating me up. Now, I'm laying there thinking, this isn't great, but salvation was just about to come to me. Salvation came in the shape of Michael, an 18-year-old lad who was sat in the bed next to me. Now, should I tell this? Yes, I should tell this. Now, Michael had a horrific eye injury, or infection rather. He was swollen, he had pus coming out of it. His mum and dad was sat there, with his mum was holding his hand, and he was telling this story about how the previous Saturday he's been on a fitness regime, he'd gone swimming in a public swimming pool, and he developed and caught this eye infection. His mum was holding his hands, she shrieked, "We shall sue the council!" I thought, that's a bit much. But anyway, they've carried on this story, and she's left with a real steely determination in her eye that she is going to sue the council for inflicting this horrific injury on a brave little soldier. Now, as she left, Michael looked like one of the lost souls of the damned. Turns out, he hadn't been swimming the week before. He'd actually been in a nightclub where he'd fingered a girl on the dance floor and rubbed his eye. Turns out she had gonorrhea. Gonorrhea of the arm. Now, before I finish, I just want to step my feet to my Australian thing. And I want to come back to Andrew Lowe.
Oh, God.
So, there's 3 statements I'm going to read out here. One of them is true. On a night before a league game, Andrew went out into London and he was arrested, and I had to drive into central London in the middle of the night and bail him out. Andrew left these shores with a sexually transmitted disease he didn't arrive with. He had an affair with a married woman.